I used to sell cars. The dealership I worked at said if you have an itemized quote that is legitimately less than us, we will match and beat it by $100. We did this because we priced super aggressively. I had one customer hear this and he said he was going to use it. I said that's fine. He placed his order for a truck that came out to like $55,000. He wanted what he wanted. After weeks and weeks of searching, he came in with an itemized quote and he said, I got something that is less. I said, great, let me see it. After reviewing what he brought in, I noticed it was $172 less. I confirmed my math with him, and he agreed. I asked, how much time did you spend on this? He smiled. Every Saturday for the last 6 weeks. I nodded my head and said, well, looks like they are $172 less, so I'll go ahead and get your $272 discount put on the order. This guy made like $175,000 a year at his day job, assuming he spent 8 hours a day. Honestly, he probably spent time during the week, shopping for a lower price. He earned $5.60 an hour for his efforts. So this evening I was on a closer. A customer came in asking to sign up to a contract and have it added to his Wi-Fi one. We do phone and Wi-Fi plans, so I asked if he had a license or passport, required to avoid fraud or people reselling or identity theft, and he didn't. So he went and came back with an ID card for a workplace. I told him a second time what he needed. So he huffed and puffed and said he'd get one and come back. He comes back with a citizen card. We can't accept those, they don't have the required stuff, and so I explain a third time what he needs. He goes off saying ID is ID and I am required to serve him or he'll cancel his whole contract, Dilagaff. And asks when we close. I tell him 7 and he says he'll be back at 7. So I say that is when we close, and he turns around yelling that he'll be served and will come under the shutter if needs be. Now I'm picking up sketch vibes. He knew he needed these things first time around. So I call a security guard, shop is in a mall, to come stand there at 7 while panicking. Guard and another one he called for backup stand there from my call until I closed. Guy did come back and start saying I didn't tell him and that I was to serve him and he was tired and wanted to go home. Same. Like dude, it's closing, so I sympathize and relate. OFC, he's acting all calm because I have security there. So he says he'll be complaining about me to higher up and leaves. Yeah, okay. Tell them you didn't have the required papers and verbally abused a minimum wage worker to the point where she felt she needed security there because of you. See if I care. And yes, I will be telling my manager about this in the morning. I used to be a seamstress for a uniform shop. Mostly boring and repetitive, but once in a while customers brought interesting projects. I liked the duffel bag repairs for the SWAT team, and the first aid kit, and the reflective vests, and honestly even putting hidden pockets in armor carriers, which took a couple hours, but looked so nice. But then there came the dress. This one woman was a regular, but hadn't brought non-work related things before this day. She showed up with a formal gown, fitted and bone bodice, strapless, lined all the way down to her ankles, posh fabric, and asked if I could take it in a little in the bodice. Well, yes I can, but it's not easy and I have lots of regular work-related sewing to keep up with. Is this for New Year's? Conversation was in early December. No, she says it's for an event the upcoming Saturday. I actually laughed. No, absolutely not. She tried to pressure me a little, then realized I was serious and switched to asking how she could make it fit. I suggested a piece of cotton quilt padding wrapped around her torso to pad it out. She didn't like that, but left me alone. The sales guy who was helping her came back later to thank me. He thought it was a bad idea to try even if there had been time, and she tried to manipulate him too. Okay, today I had a customer come in with a cart full of various items, 99% of it was frozen meat. She asks me to scan up only one item and I ask, is this a separate purchase? She replied, no, I just need to see if my card works here. The store I went to before this had some issues with it. Since I've done this for customers before, it's not all that different. I ring up the item and her card sure enough fails. She does get a bit annoyed because she said that she checked on the internet and found out that her card company was having issues with their servers and wasn't transacting purchases or changes of any kind. She knew this before coming into the store. She said she was going to step aside and call the card company and asked me to hold the items. I go though a couple more customers and she didn't come back. It took about 30 minutes for me to realize she just left because we were very busy and I was the only cashier on shift. The meat was out of the freezers for more than 45 minutes in total and we had to throw it out because at that point we could not sell it. Thanks random lady for making us have to throw out a good section of our freezer meats. My first retail job I ever had, I consider one of the worst jobs I ever had. So just a quick bit of back info. The owner of the store I worked at would not allow us to hold items that were on sale for customers who would phone in asking to hold them. They said it was to be fair for other customers who would make the drive in to get it. So I had a customer phone me, ask me if I had one certain item that was on sale. I looked at my computer, and verified we had one left. He then asked me to put it on hold, that he will be in 2 days to get it. I told him I'm not allowed to hold items that are on sale. That he would have to come in right away to get it. He was almost begging at that point, tell me I can put it on hold, that I should cut him a break. I informed him that it was against our store policy, and if I were to do that, I could get fired. But he kept insisting that I should cut him a break. Despite the fact that I warned him I could get fired for doing something like that, he didn't seem to care. Just want me to hold the item so he can get it in 2 days. I finally had enough, and told him I'm not risking my job. That if he wanted the item, come in right now to get it, and if not, come in 2 days and see if we still have the item on the shelf. But I wasn't gonna do anything else. He just kind of groaned, said fine and hung up. The grocery store I worked at was undergoing a complete and total reorganization. Aisles were changing, and we were all learning where everything was. Needless to say, it was chaos. At the time this happened, we were pretty busy, and I had a line of customers, but Karen decides to skip the line to ask me where something was. I don't remember the exact item, but it was something like paper plates, or something that would be near them. Plastic forks? Straws? Since I had a line of customers, I couldn't leave to help her locate, so I told her I believe they are now on aisle 7. Before I can even get on my walkie to ask someone for sure, she storms off. Only to come storming back a couple of minutes later to tell me they are not there. A manager is now nearby, so I ask him if he can help her, and I tell him that I thought they were on 7, but she said they were not. He looks confused and says okay, maybe they are on 8. I'll help you find them, ma'am. As they are about to walk away, she turns to me and says you should know better than to tell someone where something is if you don't actually know. Long story short, she comes back to check out, but goes to another line. As the manager comes back, he leans in and whispers to me they were on aisle 7, like you told her. Told you so.